drop and give me 25. I'm the gunny.
It's time for the gunny.
The quarter deck. Lights. Get online right now. You got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hello, my bunch of knuckle-dragging, beer-drinking, hard-charging devil dogs. You're listening to The Quarter Deck. I am your host, Miguel, the Gunny Signs.
Get off the bus!
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend
The Constitution of the United States.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You're listening to The Quarter Deck with Miguel, the Gunny Signs. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here this week. And this week is going to be kind of a little bit different because we're going to focus a little bit more on our reading of our book, No Better Friend, No Worst Enemy, and look into a couple more other benefits that we've been talking about with the VA. So we can go ahead and kind of close up that chapter of what we want to do with the VA and a lot of the benefits that we have that we can use now that we're actually out of the military, or if we're about to transition out of the military, how important it actually is for you to actually apply for all of these different benefits that you have, to make sure that you understand the benefits that are going to be eligible for you. And in some case, because of your disabilities and because of your disability compensation, also your dependents, your spouse, your kids, they also can qualify for certain benefits for you to be able to use in the future with them in the event that you are a 100% permanent total disabled veteran. You can use those benefits to help them with their education or other kinds of benefits that they may qualify for, to include health care. You know, we're going to touch on that a little bit. Last week, we talked about the healthcare system and how to actually apply for it and how to get yourself in there and find out how you're eligible. So if you missed that episode, make sure you go back to last week, take a look at it so you get a better understanding on how to use that application process to get you started and get you moving on with the healthcare system. And like always, we're going to go ahead and continue talking about our heroes, our warriors, our Medal of Honor recipients, and we're going to talk about one more this week. The quarter deck. One of many things that we really don't think about once we get ready to get out of the service is, you know, where are we actually going to live? Where are we going to go? You know, unfortunately, there are those circumstances when we have service members that are about to get out of the service and they have a plan when they're going to get out, they're going to go somewhere, they're going to be living with relatives or whatever, or things like that. But sometimes those plans don't really pan out the way that, you know, you had them in your mind and you had them set. For many, many years, when I was working with the VA, when I was teaching the classes of separation through the Marines about all the VA benefits, I used to always tell them, make sure that you have a plan after plan after plan. You need to make sure you have backup plans, because most of the time, things aren't going to quite work the way that you have it pictured in your mind. And that's not everybody. You know, there's a lot of people out there that do have solid plans to get ready to get out of the service, and they're going to be successful because they go back to their family or wherever they go. But I'll tell you guys a story. We had an individual, I would say about almost 6 years ago, that was about to get out of the service. And this individual came to our office, you know, let us know his plan and everything that was going to happen and stuff like that. And his plan was to get out and live with a buddy. They were going to get an apartment together, live together, and, you know, they were going to get a job, go to school, all those things and everything else. Well, time came and he was maybe about a week before he was getting ready to get out of the service. And this buddy did not answer the phone anymore. Wouldn't answer his calls, wouldn't do anything. So his plan went out the window. Now, when he talked to us before he got out, he really didn't mention this stuff to us. He said he was ready to go, he was ready to get out, so he had his information for his disability claim, all those things and all that stuff put together. It wasn't until about maybe 2 weeks later, after we knew that this individual had gotten out of the service, that we had another service member come and tell us that they knew of a Marine that had gotten out of the service that had been living in their car in a parking lot. They put us in contact with this individual, and we were able to actually find out the whole entire story about him, being able to not contact his buddies, or his plan went to hell because he had nowhere to go. But he didn't want to go ask anybody for help or anything, so he just said, whatever, I'll just stay in my car and I'll wait for me to get my last paycheck and then I'll figure it out. Well, this individual was just living in their car. We ended up, trying to find assistance for him here locally in the area. Unfortunately, that first day when we knew, we had to send him down there to the shelter. And he went and spent one night there at the homeless shelter. And he came back the next day and says, I do not want to stay there anymore. There were some crazy people there. There was blood outside in the parking lot. People were sitting there, going to the bathrooms on themselves and stuff like that. So, I'm pretty sure that it's not a very friendly place to go there. And the individuals that are there, I'm sure, a lot of them have issues, medical issues and stuff like that they really haven't taken care of. So we ended up finding a place here in the local area that took in service members, provided a place for them to live, and assisted them in getting a job. So that's where he ended up going there. And, luckily we were able to find out, but there's a lot of individuals, a lot of veterans that are out there that don't know. And that's one of the good things about the VA. The VA has programs. They have programs available to help individuals that are homeless or maybe at risk at becoming homeless. They offer programs and services that can help these people. And this includes free health care. And in some cases, there is free limited dental care along with that. On top of that, they have a lot of resources that they can connect the veterans to throughout the community. This includes homeless shelters or faith-based organizations that are out there in the community that can help them and provide them a place to live for a short period of time while they get on their feet and make sure that they're ready to go. Now, there is a national call center for homeless veterans here in the United States. That number is 877-424-3838. Now, while many of us might not need to contact these numbers, they are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Individuals will be able to talk privately to a trained counselor for free. It doesn't cost anything. Now, I know that, many of us are never going to need that phone number. At least we hope not. The way things are going now, there's a lot of situations and a lot of issues that may come up. But it's good to know that information to make sure you have it, because you never know when you might need to give somebody that information. I don't know how many times, when I'm driving around, and I wish that I was a millionaire, had a lot of money, because I would help a lot of people that I always see out there on the streets. And, I went to church about 2 weeks ago. It was about the 2 weeks ago, that mass. And the priest was talking about every time that he's driving around, he sees all these individuals on the street corners asking for money or asking for help. And he said that even he started thinking, hey, why is this person here? Are they telling the truth? Do they really need help? Do they really need the money? And he said that he prayed because he had that thought. And, I don't know how many times that I've thought the same thing, because you see individuals that are there. Sometimes it's very young individuals that are there asking for money or wanting assistance of something. And it's just like, I think it was about a week ago after I went to that mass, there was a gentleman that was right there in the corner off the off-ramp, coming off the freeway going into town. And he had a sign. The sign said, I need help. My AC went out. I need to get my AC fixed. Individuals were giving him $1, $2. And whenever I can, I try to do the same thing, because it's hot. It's hot here where we live. It's up to the 120s and so forth. So that day was very, very hot. But the next day, I had to go to an appointment. And that same individual was there again. But this time he had a different sign. Now it said that he needed money for gas. So I was like, okay. So in my mind, I was like, I wonder if he got his AC fixed, because now he's asking for money for gas. I don't know. So sometimes I don't understand, and I don't know what to think about these individuals that are out there in the corners asking for money. So it's something that I won't say that it really bugs me because, I don't know what these individuals are going through. I don't know their situation. And many of us don't. We don't know the situations that these individuals are in. But it's a great thing to know that for our veterans, and a lot of times I see signs, I'm a homeless veteran. I don't know, because all these resources are there for these veterans, but a lot of them just don't take advantage of them. Some of them don't know. They really don't know. And when you tell them about it and put them in contact with these numbers, they get the help that they need. But then I started to think, are they really veterans? Or are they just holding a sign to try to get assistance because they're saying that they're a veteran? So along with that phone number, you can also contact the nearest VA medical center. They have a homeless representative that is there as well. That they have the social worker that is always there. Now, if you're a female, you can ask for the Women's Veterans Program Manager, and they can assist you with any female issues that the individual may be having or anything like that. If you're a veteran that, may be in crisis, you need help. Remember, the crisis line is there for you to be able to use. That means that, if you are that veteran, or maybe you're concerned about someone, tell them that they can connect with the VA's caring qualified counselors at the Veterans Crisis Line. It's confidential. They can talk to them. And, many of the counselors and everything that are there working for the VA, they're veterans themselves. And all these services are going to be private, free, and available 24/7 for the individuals to be able to get assistance. So that's just one of the other great programs that is offered by the VA. It's the homeless assistance for them to have. And again, let's not forget that you can call the National Call Center for Homeless Veterans. Okay, that number again is 877-424-3838. You can have that number for yourself to make sure that you have it on hand in the event that something can happen. But again, always remember that you can go to our go-to website, which is va.gov, and look up homeless assistance, and you can get the information that you need to make sure that you can pass this along to anybody that may need help. The Quarterdeck is brought to you by Miguel Science Photography. From the beginning of your family to the first birthday and beyond, whether it's a retirement or a Marine Corps ball, Miguel Science Photography is there to make memories that will last a lifetime. Miguel Science Photography is a certified veteran-owned business. Contact them at miguelsciencephotography.com.
What we're going to do right here is go back. Way back into time.
Now, last week we talked about the developmental planning and the actual finishing product of the 1st Marine Division, of all that refinement, of everything that they've been discussing about, of all the intelligence and everything that they've gathered about the Iraqi forces. They're going to put that into place, so that is already there. And what they're doing now is, all the fine tuning, because as we all know, it takes a lot of planning to plan anything. From any kind of event that you may be planning, at home, a birthday party, anything. Now imagine and put yourself in the shoes, having the responsibility to go over there, gather all the intelligence that you need, put it together into a plan that is going to allow the 1st Marine Division the fastest and easiest way to annihilate the enemy, move from Kuwait into Iraq, and eventually head all the way to the capital of Baghdad with ease, in a way that you're going to be able to annihilate the whole entire Iraqi forces to make sure that there's not going to be any issues or anything. And that's, planning anything to deal with supplies, getting the ammo there to the individuals, the people that are actually there on the ground, moving day in and day out. How are they going to get food? How are they going to get water? That is very, very important to make sure that they understand how to do those things and how they're going to receive it. Because as we know, as somebody that's there on the ground, the more information that you have, the better it's going to be for you, because you're going to be focused and you're going to understand exactly, hey, I know what's going on. And this week, we're going to move on to talking about developments of the fire support planning. And just like I talked about last week, this is near and dear to my heart because that is what we did. Fire support, direct fire support by artillery fire with the 1st Marine Division, 11th Marines, with reinforcements from 10th Marines. We provided all the support, all the fire support that they were going to need once they were there on the ground, all the units that were in front of us to make sure that they were taken care of. So let's go ahead and move on this week and let's take a listen Let's see exactly what they were doing, what they were planning in getting all these things putting together. So let's start up talking about the developments and fire support plan. Now, this is just the developments phase. So they're getting it put into place, and so that way people understand exactly what's going to go on with how they're going to be planning this. The planned concept of fires was straightforward. Fires would begin by shaping the enemy's artillery before the RCT crossed the international border. A battalion of BM-21s and a battalion of GHN 45s, both chemical capable, topped the hit list drawn by the division's targeting board. The 51st Division's own supporting artillery would be next in line for destruction, including 2 battalions of medium-range type 59 TAC-1s and M46 towed howitzers. The 3 battalions of D-30 or M114s towed howitzers garrisoned around AZ Zubair. As part of the shaping fires, a massive airstrike would eliminate the threat of enemy observation for the Jabhat Sanaa. After successful completion of these early fire support tasks, the focus of shaping would shift to artillery of the 6th Armored Division and additional 3 Corps artillery located north of Al-Basra and Al-Qura and Ad-Dair. At H-1 hour, as the Engineers Operational Combat Detachment, or OCDs, put blade to the northern berm, 11th Marines planned to engage the surviving artillery in AZ Zubair with a massive 30-minute preparation. I can remember this fire mission. It was the middle of the night. I want to say it was about 01 in the morning when the fire mission actually came down. And they came down, and it was a regimental 30-round fire mission. Imagine that. 30 rounds. 30 rounds of high explosive, rocket-assisted projectiles flying through the air. It looked just like a bunch of Star Wars lasers going through the sky, because you actually heard the fire, you heard the boom, and then you saw the ignition of the rocket, the small rocket that actually propelled the projectiles even further, all through the air. Now imagine this. The whole 11th Marines, the whole regiment, every single gun in every battery, 6 howitzers per battery. So here you have Romeo battery, Tango battery, a 10th Marines Sierra battery shooting and that's 6, 12, 18 howitzers at a time shooting these rounds going down range. So if you can imagine, that's a lot of power, a lot of massive power going down range, destroying these units. So near simultaneously, Iraqi border guard posts with visual range of the breach sites would be attacked by fixed-wing aircraft and Cobra gunships and destroyed. Finally, if the Iraqi 6th Armored Division showed indications of preparing to move south, the Alamo Bridge would be cratered, mined, or destroyed, and the 6th Armored relentlessly interdicted. So let's stop there for a second. Let's think about this. All the artillery fire is going down range. Now, let's add a little bit of Tabasco sauce to our attack. Let's send the Cobras in there. Let's send them in there. The Cobra gunships to go in there to, wake them up a little bit. Send some rounds down range. But not only that, what about the fixed-wing aircraft? Why not? Let's send some more pilots down there with some Harriers down there to drop some more ammo on these units to make sure, just to make sure that they're not going to continue moving forward. And I can tell you, we knew that the 51st Mechanized Division was moving towards us. We knew that. Now put that in your head for a second. Think of a huge unit of armored tanks coming straight towards you. We thought about those tanks coming towards us, but yet we were focused on shooting our mission downrange and completely annihilate them before they even got close to us to even fire a single round. So that made us feel good that we accomplished our mission to make sure that we were good. So if we think about it, just the planning of the fire support was so important because General Mattis at the time planned to use the hell out of artillery. He wanted to annihilate the enemy with artillery fire because he did not want to give him a bit of an ounce of a chance to do anything to stop the division from moving north and getting all the way to Baghdad. So what can we say about that? That is an awesome plan to get him in there to annihilate everything at the same time, to send those fires in there to make sure that it's happening and it's going there. So next week, we're going to talk about the actual operational planning of what they're going to be doing to get everything into place to make sure that it's ready to be actually completed. So how's it actually going to look? So next week, as we move into that, we're going to see how the 1st Marine Division is getting better and closer to moving in and annihilating the Iraqi forces and the regime of Saddam Hussein and liberate the people of Iraq. Hero highlight. In the Marine Corps, especially during recruit training, we learn so much Marine Corps history. And one thing that I can say is one thing about Marines, they know their history because it is embedded into our brain housing group to make sure that we know the history of Marines that came before us. Our Chesty Pullers, Dan Daly, Schmetley Butler, those are embedded in my brain housing group and will continue to do so. This week, we're going to talk about Major Kenneth Dillon Bailey, United States Marine Corps, and the heroic things that he did to be able to receive the nation's highest honor, the Medal of Honor. So today, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this and actually see what he did. So let's go ahead and get on and read his citation of why he received the award. Major Kenneth D. Bailey was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor on 24 March of 1943 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt during a special ceremony at the White House for heroic conduct during action in the Solomon Islands. The medal was presented to Major Bailey's wife. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions during an intense battle to repulse the enemy at Henderson Field on Guadalcanal. Kenneth Dillon Bailey, who also earned the Silver Star Medal during the initial landing on Tulagi in the Solomon Islands, was born in Pawnee, Oklahoma. On 21 October 1910, he later moved to Danville, Illinois with his parents. He spent 3 years with the 130th Infantry, Illinois National Guard. Prior to receiving his second lieutenant's commission in the Marine Corps on 1 July 1935, he was ordered to the Marine Barracks, Philadelphia, where he completed a course of instruction in the basic school. Joining the 5th Marines in Quantico, Virginia, he participated in maneuvers in San Diego and in the Caribbean. In June of 1938, he joined the Marine Detachment USS Pennsylvania as detachment and battery officer. He was advanced to first lieutenant on 19 January of 1939 while serving on board that vessel. A short tour of duty at Quantico as range officer with the Rifle Range Detachment preceded his assignment as assistant to the training officer recruit depot at Parris Island, South Carolina. First Lieutenant Bailey was ordered to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in December of 1940, where he joined the 1st Marine Brigade. He later joined the 7th Marines, then the 1st Marines, which returned to Parris Island not long after he reported for duty. He was promoted to captain in March of 1941. At Quantico in June of 1941, he joined the 5th Marines as a company commander. In February of 1942, his unit was redesignated as the 1st Marine Raider Battalion. The unit was ordered to San Diego, California. In April of 1942, on the last day of that month, reached Tutuila, Samoa. He was promoted to major on 8 May of 19 1942. Landing on Tulagi on 7 August 1942, he later moved with his unit to Guadalcanal, where he earned the Medal of Honor. He was buried on Guadalcanal, but his remains were reinterred in Spring Hill Cemetery, Danville, Illinois, in June of 1948. In addition to the Medal of Honor and Silver Star Medal, Major Bailey was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart, Presidential Unit Citation, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, American Defense Service Medal with Fleet Clasp, and the World War II Victory Medal. Really amazing when you go back and actually read all of these citations. So that was the story of Major Kenneth D. Bailey. Next week, we're going to talk about Sergeant John Basilone. That name alone gives me chills. We'll read his citation about what he did, even though I think that a lot of you already know his story of what he did during all those campaigns between 1941 and 1945. The Quarter Deck. If you just joined us, you've been listening to The Quarter Deck with Miguel, the Gunny Signs. And this week, we talked about the fire support planning for the 1st Marine Division. And let me tell you, what an exciting plan to read about, because that was our cup of tea, my cup of tea. What I did when I was there on the ground, provided the fire support by artillery fire for our troops, annihilating those units that were coming towards us to make sure they did not cause any harm to anyone, any of our troops on the grounds or our own individual units that were moving forward, heading in towards Baghdad. We also talked about homelessness. We talked about the benefits, the resources that are available through the VA for those individuals that may become homeless or are in danger of becoming homeless, or maybe we just know someone who needs assistance. The resources are there. And we talked about that. And let's not forget va.gov, our go-to website, to get any information or any resources on anything that we're planning on looking for. That depends on the VA. We looked into our hero highlights. We're continuing to move on with our World War II Marines that we're looking into. This week we talked about Major Kenneth D. Bailey and his story. If you're just tuning in and didn't get a chance to listen to his story, rewind it a little bit. Listen to his story, or simply just go to the Marine Corps University website and you can find all the citations for all the individuals that earned awards by unit, by branch of service, however you want to look for them. Next week, we get a chance to look into the life of Sergeant John Basilone and look and remind ourselves on everything that he accomplished and that he did throughout the campaign of 1941 to 1945. Until next week, enjoy your weekend and have a great time. Until then, this is Miguel, the Gunny Signs, sounding Liberty Call.
Get off the bus!
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend
The Constitution of the United States.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.